Hello and welcome to Stupid Ancient History with Midgley.
I'm Taylor and our expert, non-expert, special guest James the Science Toolboy.
Hello.
As always, we're wearing togas, we're eating olives, and today we're going to look at the death of Cyrus the Great.
Oh no.
So previously we were looking at Cyrus and his many conquests from Media to Babylon.
And we had a good look at his fancy palace.
And what's clear is that Cyrus, since becoming king, has had a pretty good run, conquering pretty much everything that he claps his eyes on.
And also seemed to be pretty awesome to the people who he conquered.
Looks like his granddad's dream about flooding all of Asia was actually coming true.
And he was the flood. So James,
Yes.
any predictions for what's coming next?
Is it going to be something incredibly mundane, just like he dies in his sleep?
We'll find out. So, one issue we do have with Cyrus particularly is that there's not really a lot of detail or evidence about what he did after the conquest of Babylon. Kind of goes a bit quiet.
Did he just stop because he's conquered so much?
Well, let's say he just slows down. I mean, we do know he expanded his empire further east.
How old is he at this point?
If he was born in 600, by the time he dies, he's knocking on towards 70.
That's good. Good in it.
It's a good run. I mean, that's why it was great. But we do know that he seems to have expanded his empire a little further east, and the Nabonidus Chronicle gives his date of death around about 530 BC. So
Okay. About 70.
about 70. So he's had a pretty good run of things.
Yeah.
We also know that after his death, his body did get placed in his tomb.
He's rather modest.
Yeah, it's good job, innit? Seeing as though he actually built it for himself. His
And it
body
was-
did end up there.
It was in his house. It'd be difficult if they didn't put him in it.
Yeah. But the big problem is that there are different versions of how he got there.
They would just carry him.
So
Have you not been paying attention to
No.
this? Nothing's
Yeah.
ever that
Is
straightforward.
there a flood?
maybe he was sailed there. Link back to the water again.
Oh,
Carried
he
by
didn't
the fog.
fight another river, did he?
Spoilers.
Got sent on the canal. That's why I built them all in his house.
So the first version of his death that we're going to look at comes from a guy called Xenophon.
Who's that?
He is a Greek writer and a soldier who spent a lot of his time in and around the Persian Empire.
Well, I mean, you say soldier, actually, James. It was more like a mercenary. And he was writing over 100 years after the death of Cyrus.
Did no one ever just think to write things down as they were happening? All these accounts are like hundreds of years after.
I think they're all a bit too busy fighting each other. You can't
Fair
just go, right,
enough.
lads, hang on a minute. So what's your name? And let me just write down who I'm about to stab.
You've got a bit of off time.
Yeah, I mean, alright, Xenophon was a mercenary, and in between travelling around Persia and fighting stuff, he wrote things down. He did write, he is quite a prolific writer for the time. He did write a number of key works. Particularly useful to us now is a work called Cyropedia. Basically, it's a partly fictional account of Cyrus's education and life.
So what did that Xenophon have to say?
So, Xenophon paints a picture of an elderly Cyrus peacefully passing the days in his palace when he has a dream.
Another one.
Another dream.
These are always good, so I'm looking forward to this.
See what Xenophon says?
So, it says, but one night, as he lay asleep in the royal palace, he dreamt a dream. It seemed to him that someone met him, greater than a man, and said to him, "Set your house in order, Cyrus. The time has come, and you are going to the gods."
Right, so like an angel or a god has said, this is your time.
Yeah, pack your bags, love.
Yeah.
Your time is up. I mean, not the best dream to have, really, is it?
It's nice to know what's going to happen. It's not a surprise. Yeah, exactly.
Your time's up, pal. So, Cyrus obviously, dreams are a big thing for him and his history. So then he goes about making appropriate sacrifices and so on. And then we get some bizarre details like he refuses to have a bath because he's too tired.
I assume being an emperor king sort of thing, people bath him.
Yeah.
He wouldn't even have to walk upstairs, does he? If
He's
go
in a
upstairs,
bungalow,
he's in
yeah.
a bungalow. So that is very lazy.
And he's got all the water.
This is true. But we get this idea is that he's old, he's getting tired.
Yeah. So when his attendants come to bring his food, he isn't hungry, he's just thirsty.
Just get in the bath then.
Yeah, two birds with one stone.
Drink your own bathwater.
I mean, he's not had a wash for a while. He's clearly not hygiene is on top of his list.
My baby does that, so it's fine.
Fair enough.
William is only like 1 though, so maybe that's more.
I mean, you do kind of regress when you get older to a kind of infant-like state. You can't really chew your food. People have to look after you. Drink your bathwater. It's all cyclical.
Please don't. No one, please start drinking your own bathwater as a result of this. This is not a recommendation.
Not until United Utilities goes down the pan because of lockdown, and then we've got nothing else to do.
So after not eating but drinking, he calls for his sons before going back to bed because he's tired. So it's classic old man
Yeah.
rattling around his palace.
I'm hoping there's going to be more to this.
Oh, there is.
Okay, good.
Then his sons come to him.
Oh, okay.
And they sit at his bedside whilst he explains which one of them should be the king of Persia, you know, weighing up the various strengths and weaknesses.
Did they not just do simple firstborn sort of thing?
Oh, top trumps.
No, he has to have a bit of a ramble and decide. And then, according to Xenophon, he says,
"Goodbye, my dear sons. Bid your mother goodbye for me." I mean, that's bad, isn't it?
He's not even saying goodbye to his wife.
To his wife. Oh, just tell her that I'm going. Yeah. "And all my friends who are here or far away, goodbye." And with these words, he gave his hand to them, and then he covered his face and died.
Okay.
That's it.
It's pretty underwhelming.
You're not satisfied with that ending?
Well, not. You know, someone born in a dream with a river of wee and vines
No,
growing
it's a
everywhere.
nice way to go, though, isn't it? Most people say that they would like to die in their sleep.
True,
so
but of someone called the Great, I expect a little bit more.
Cyrus the Great with a death that was subpar.
Yeah, it's alright. Yeah.
I mean, if he was my husband, he'd die a little bit quicker because as soon as he said, "Oh, go and tell my wife," I'd be like, "Right, I'll finish you off, sunshine. Don't you worry."
Again, not an admittance of murder.
No, my husband's still alive.
I mean, I've not seen him for a while.
I saw him this morning and he was still very much alive. It's fine.
Got your word for that.
So, unsurprisingly, Herodotus has a slightly different version of events.
Please say battle camels.
Not quite.
Oh!
Sorry, but it's certainly more exciting than Xenophon. So
More Herodotus. Like.
More Herodotus. So rather than just hanging around his palace in his slippers, Herodotus has Cyrus campaigning in the east against the Mazagete and their queen Myras.
Who?
You mean you're not au fait with the Mazagete?
I must have been ill that day.
The Mazagete are kind of, think of it kind of southern Russia.
So he's going north now?
Sort of north and east. It's kind of Black
okay.
Sea region. They're a really interesting people. They're semi-nomadic. What's really interesting at this time particularly is that it's a queen who's in charge, Myras,
I'm assuming
rather
that was
than a
not.
king.
I'm assuming that was not very often the case.
That was not very common at all.
So, there's also a river which is called the Araxes.
Is he going to fight it? Please.
That forms a natural boundary between the two peoples.
So they've had this border for a long time, and Cyrus has just gone, might cross that river whilst fighting it. And to Myras, obviously, there's been contact with these people before. He's not just rocked up one day and gone, surprise! To Myras suggests that the Persians and Mazagete should just leave each other alone. You know, you stay on one side, we'll stay on the other. But she says, if we are to fight, then we should decide in advance which side of the river we're going to fight on.
Seems quite civilised for a war.
Yeah, reasonable.
So Cyrus is quite keen to get on with even more conquering. He doesn't want to hang around deciding which side of the river he's going to fight on.
He's running out of time as
Yeah.
well. He just wants one last conquest.
Yeah.
Is there ever a point where a conqueror retires? Just because I've conquered enough.
No, not really.
So Cyrus pushes ahead with the war. All of his advisors tell him to fight on the Persian side of the river.
Makes sense. So he's on his home turf sort of thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to, except Croesus,
Who's that one?
the guy from the funeral pyre.
Oh, the one who called to Apollo.
Yeah,
These mates are very long-lived, aren't they?
they last a long time. Anyway, so all the other Persian commanders like, this side of the river, this side of the river. Croesus, sat in the corner, pipes up and says,
Doubtless, if you think that you and your men are immortal, there is little point in my telling you my opinion. But if you recognise the fact that both you and the troops under your command are merely human, then the first thing I will tell you is that human life is like a revolving wheel, and never allows the same man to continue long in prosperity.
That's not very inspiring.
No.
it's not a great pep talk,
It's
is it?
basically saying to him, isn't it, look, right, you've had a good run.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not spoil it. Just go back to your palace, sit down, have a bath, you stink, right? It's fine.
Don't
Yeah.
drink your bathwater.
No, you don't need to conquer anymore.
Yeah, it's very much kind of, yeah, you're not immortal and this one maybe isn't going to go your way. So,
who does he listen to him or all the other guys saying go have a fight?
well, first thing he does, definitely, not overly impressed with Croesus's ability to whip up a crowd, sends him back to Persia,
As one does.
and with him goes Cyrus's son Cambyses, who becomes the next Persian king.
Okay.
So that particular night, Cyrus has another strange dream.
I love these dreams. Please tell me it's like floods of wee again.
Not quite.
Nothing's quite topped that other
Not
than the river
quite.
fighting.
So he dreams that a son of one of his closest allies had wings on his shoulders, one covering Asia and one covering Europe.
Okay, so
Okay.
similar to the wee flood.
Yeah,
So he interpreted this as a sign that this young chap, who was someone called Darius, was trying to take his throne and ordered that he be put under close watch. So at this point, Darius is in Persia and he was too young to be campaigning. So he isn't really a threat.
How young is too young?
he was about 16,
Okay.
maybe. We're not 100% sure,
Yeah.
it's the different calendars. But either way, Herodotus points out, hindsight is everything, that Cyrus got it wrong, and that this is actually a warning about his impending death. And this young chap, this winged figure with one wing over Asia and one wing over Europe, is Darius the Great, who eventually becomes king of Persia. So it's kind of a forewarning of what's going to happen next.
Okay.
See, it's Darius who does start to invade Europe when he attacks Greece. It's
Right.
just that Cyrus got it wrong.
Okay.
But either way, that's two warnings about this not ending well. it's not going to end well for Cyrus. So, after waking up from his dubious dream and getting it wrong, despite sending Croesus home for being such a gloomy bugger, Cyrus takes his advice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like, oh, miserable. Yeah, we'll fight on the other side. So he attacks the Mazagete on their side of the river. But he's a bit crafty about this. As he crosses over, he leaves his weakest troops by the river. And he takes the rest of his army and campaigns inland. And this actually allows him to score an early victory. So we've got Herodotus.
So it says, Cyrus now advanced a day's march from the river and proceeded to do what Croesus had proposed. Then, leaving behind the feeblest portion of his men, he marched back again with his army thus purged. A detachment of the Mazagetae, 1/3 of their whole force, fell upon the Persians, who had been left behind, and killed them all, in spite of an attempt to resist.
It's not much of a win, is it?
Wait for the good bit. Herodotus.
Then after this victory they saw the splendid meal already laid out for them. At once they took their seats and began to regale themselves, and ate and drank so much that they went to sleep. This was the Persians' opportunity. They fell upon them, killed many, and took an even greater number of prisoners.
Right, this sounds a lot like the Babylonians having a party. Well, like there's a war going on, let's have a big do.
Well, the fact that he left 1/3 of his useless troops and seemingly a massive banquet
Yeah.
that no one touched in all that time. After a day, that third useless contingent didn't go, no one's going to miss that sausage roll.
Oh.
There wouldn't have been anything left if I was there.
Well, I mean, these poor soldiers who end up getting killed, are they just like the last ones to be picked at football?
They pretty much
It's
are.
a pain I know all too well.
Can you imagine the instructions? Right, lads, wait there. But whatever you do, don't touch that feast. So they're left there as sacrificial victims, and their last memories will be looking at a banquet table going, that looks really nice.
I mean, to be fair, their last memories are probably someone stabbing them in the face.
But yeah, so this is, and I like the fact that the Mazzagette turn up, fight the battle and go, hang on lads,
Can't have to spread out there.
hey, should we get tucked in? Not one thinking,
Just put the pies out for us. Winner!
But the plot thickens. It turns out that leading the Mazzagette attack was Myras' son. And when she finds out that Cyrus has him a prisoner, she is not best pleased. I mean, she sends Cyrus the following warning.
Now listen to me, and I will advise you for your good. Give me back my son and get out of my country with your forces intact, and be content with your triumph over a third part of the Mazzagatti. If you refuse, I swear by the sun, our master, to give you more blood than you can drink for all your gluttony.
Pretty eloquent way to say get
that's-
out.
Yeah, I think that's
She's
quite
not
well
playing
put.
around, is
She's
she?
not.
I mean, yeah, she's not playing around at all. But also, it seems like she hasn't been paying attention to how Cyrus treats his captives.
I was going to say, just like this, is his reputation like been tarnished in some way, or has she just not been listening?
Not that we know of. We don't know if maybe she's just that angry.
Yeah, this bloke has been relentlessly nice to everyone he's met.
What's the worst? Oh no, he's captured my son. He's gonna
Make him an advisor.
put him in a palace. But unfortunately, we don't actually get to see what Cyrus would have done, because as soon as Myras' son wakes up from his drunken stupor, I mean that's a properly bad,
Hangover.
really bad hangover. You wake up and you're in chains. As soon as they release him from his chains, as you'd expect from Cyrus to go, oh, do you want a job? He kills himself.
Cyrus or the son?
The son kills himself.
Why?
Well, he thinks he's in for something terrible, and he's going to be a bargaining chip. So yeah, as soon as they get the chains off him, kills himself.
Maybe he thinks he's done something really bad. That's why he's in chains.
Okay, fair play, I guess.
Black portions of the night from the night before when he's had too much to drink.
God.
Either way, Myras isn't going to take that very well.
So the following day, the two armies attack each other again. Herodotus describes it as more violent than any other fort.
So she's kind of whipped her men into a frenzy here then.
Yeah, and you imagine she's at the front, screaming and foaming out of the mouth.
Yeah.
So the fighting lasts all day. There's no clear winner until eventually the Mazzagatti win. Cyrus's body is amongst the dead on the battlefield after his 29 years of rule.
It's the first time he's lost.
Pretty much.
And I mean, it's not just a lose, is it?
It's a pretty big loss.
But there's more.
Of course there is.
This isn't enough for Myras, though. When she has his body found, and once they've done this, she decapitates the body, and she forces his severed head into a leather wineskin that she's been carrying around, and is now filled with human blood. And as she's doing this, she's there screaming that now he will have his fill of blood.
This woman sounds like a nutter.
She's just a very angry lady.
Well,
She just lost his son.
her son just killed herself. I mean,
Killed himself, yeah, but he wouldn't have done that if he hadn't been taken prisoner.
by the nicest man in history.
To be fair, she did warn him, didn't she? Said you
She
will
did.
have your fill of blood, and
She did. But didn't you say he was buried in his tomb?
He was. Now clearly his head got back.
Yes, I was about to say this is magically reattached.
She
somehow.
calmed down and
Right. Okay.
gave them his head back. So his head is severed from his body, forced into a wineskin full of blood, and Herodotus ends with, "This is the account I think is more plausible."
Then what?
Then he'd fallen asleep at home,
He doesn't-
popping his clogs.
He doesn't give us the alternative versions. I really wish he did. If that's the most plausible version, I want to hear the others.
Wow.
So, poor old Cyrus, dead. Oh, two different versions though. I mean,
Like, one's quite nice and the other's horrific.
I was going to say, well, if we think about, I mean, obviously they are two wildly different versions of events. One where he just goes, "See you later, lads," and the other where he's severed and forced into one. I mean, which ending do we think is more fitting? The kind of wise old man peacefully dying at home, or the conquering warrior?
Well, I suppose
losing?
it depends, doesn't it? Because if he's just dying at home, even though that might seem a little bit more pathetic, ultimately he's not losing anything just before he dies. So he's always had kind of success, hasn't he? And then he dies.
Yeah, because you can argue the most important thing for any king or leader to do is secure your succession, make sure it all carries on nicely afterwards. And if you've got time to prepare that and not have a bath and
Snub your wife.
But then if you think, well, actually it's also seen as quite honourable and quite heroic to die on the battlefield. Yeah. But the fact that he's died means that he's lost. So that kind of...
But he does send his son back to Persia to be the next king, so he's take that box. But yeah, he dies heroically on the battlefield, and it's just afterwards where he's...
But he still dies, and he meets a real horrible end, and he's killed basically at the hands of a woman. So that kind of brings it down a little bit, doesn't it?
This is true. Again, it's the gaudy chopping of the head, and it's almost like an insult for a guy who's done so many great things, and then go, your head's going in that bag. So, yeah, I mean, which one do we think is more likely?
The old man.
You're
just dying in his sleep.
Yeah, I think it's probably the old man. I mean, most 70-odd-year-olds that I know now with quite good healthcare couldn't ride on and fight in a battle. Dread to think what it would have been like then. I can just imagine like one of my granddads or something like la 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 la. I don't think so.
Pretty sure Cyrus didn't. That's not really a good battle cry.
Maybe that's why he died. They were just like pointing him like, what's he up to? Just get an arrow in him.
That's why they lost. Let's try out my new battle cry. La 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 la.
You've got that queen like raging and slavering and screaming about a dead son.
Did he have to be like lifted like the ancient equivalent of a chairlift onto his horse? Just like hit the horse and make it go forward for him.
So other than Herodotus and
Xenophon,
do we have anyone else who talks about this?
Not really of any credit. So we said like the Nabonidus Chronicle says he dies in 530, but doesn't give us any more than that. These are the two main sources. The Herodotus version is probably more well known. That's the one that's been turned into various works of art and fits the traditional tale.
No one's painted a picture of just an old man dying in his...
No, funnily enough, no. It could also be that, bearing in mind Herodotus is writing just after the Persians have attacked Greece, and as a Greek he might have a vested interest in using some stories he's found that give Cyrus a negative ending.
Right, okay.
Because one of the criticisms of him is that he's too kind to Cyrus particularly. So maybe that's a way of digging it in. Or it could be that Xenophon, half a century after Herodotus, as he's travelling around Persia, it could be that he's picked up the counter-narrative, that the Persians are a bit annoyed at the Greeks saying this happened to him when he died, and going, no, it was just an old man. That's what happened. So, we don't know which is more reliable.
Is no account held in more esteem than the other?
They're both, well, it depends on who you are. Obviously, if you're a pro-Cyrus kind of guy, Xenophon. The problem is neither source is 100% reliable. There's problems with both of them, and unless we find a more reliable source, or his body,
see if he's got a head or not.
Wounds, but his body's
lost
to time.
Is his tomb empty then?
Tomb's empty. So we don't know. But yeah, the old man seems more plausible from our point of view.
Yeah.
And then does he deserve the title Great?
He was alright.
Yeah.
Taylor?
I think in terms of when you think of rulers, he's done all the things that would make him be classed as a great ruler. He's conquered lots of different places. He's embraced different people's religions and cultures, hasn't he?
He's generally been nice and chilled with everyone.
Yeah, he's utilised his enemy for his own advantage.
And the
instead of
people
just getting rid of them.
And the people he's conquered were basically unpleasant. I'm trying to think of an appropriate word I can use on this. They were not nice guys by all accounts. So, but again, how is there an issue with, are we only getting half the story? Maybe, I don't know, maybe he went home and kicked kittens or, but no one wrote about it. But yeah, he seems a nice guy. He's kind of the role model for all Persian kings to follow. He was alright.
Yeah, he was okay.
He was pretty good. There's worse.
Yeah, there is a lot worse.
There is a lot worse.
I think they're spoilers for what we're about to happen.
Don't know what you mean. So that's it. That's the end of Cyrus the Great. It's been pleasant, Cyrus.
It has.
Thanks for listening. We hope this has been helpful. Leave us a comment below, and until next time, bye.
Bye.
Bye.